Well, Grayscale Investments made headlines this morning after pledging to explore a tender offer for a portion of the shares of its Bitcoin fund should its conversion to an ETF not go through. Grayscale.
Okay, hello everyone. Welcome back to my channel. Today is Monday, December 19, 2022, and this is the big news for today regarding the Grayscale GBTC trust. So basically, the CEO came out and said that they are ready to issue a tender offer to buy 20% of the outstanding GBTC shares. And yeah, so let's go over this information by going straight to the source. Here is the letter that the CEO issued to shareholders. A pretty standard letter, being at the end of the year. He's basically addressing the investors by reflecting on FTX, also by reflecting on crypto overall, also the speculation between GBTC and DCG, interesting perspective here. But this is what I wanted to share with you today. So he is reflecting on what's next for GBTC, and this is very important to know if you're an investor or if you're planning to buy some GBTC shares and you are borderline to see if this is a good time or not. So back in June or so, GBTC basically applied for the ETF trust. So basically, they want to offer an ETF to investors. This has been the goal for GBTC since their inception in 2013, and that decision was denied by the SEC. So then what they did is in October, around October of this year, they filed a lawsuit to see if they can get it through in that way. And basically, the ECC just recently issued a response to that appeal. And from there, what's going to happen now is that GBTC again have to issue another response by January 13, 2023, and then final written brief due on February 3rd in 2023. And then after that, they will have a 3-judge panel that will be selected to hear oral arguments and rule on the case. So all of these lawsuits with respect to the ETF and if they are going to get it or not is going to be pretty much said and done by first quarter of 2023. Now, with that, they are saying that although they remain confident, I wanted to go over this clearly. Although they remain confident, they are saying if we are not successful in our legal challenge in all applicable courts, we will explore other options to return a portion of GBTC capital to shareholders. So they are basically, to me at least, acknowledging that they need a plan B if the court's appeal does not go through and they are not successful in that lawsuit. And with that, they are talking, here is where they're talking about the auction. So this auction could include a tender offer for a portion of outstanding shares of GBTC. We currently expect that such tender offer will be for no more than 20% of the outstanding shares of GBTC. To facilitate this, we will require to obtain 2 separate approvals. And here is the caveat, and I think that it's going to be very important for you to be aware of this because it's not going to be as easy as they're just saying, yes, we're ready to buy 20% of the share and we're going to go through with that. No. They need to get a relief from the ECC from certain requirements applicable to tender offers in order to ensure that the tender offer is fair to all investors. The ECC may not provide this relief. So big statement here. They again have to go through the ECC to get this approved. In which case, GBTC will not be able to pursue such tender offer. And there is a little number 2 here. So let's go and let's dig into the fine print. I always think that that's very important and also fun to do. So number 2 says, of note, this is separate from Regulation M relief. Regulation M applies to redemption and repurchase of shares of GBTC when GBTC is creating shares, and because GBTC will not create any shares while pursuing a tender offer, we will not need relief from these requirements. So basically, these requirements have to do with the fact that they are not an ETF, and that is what they're trying to do, right? So they're basically saying that with this, they are not going against the fact that they are not an ETF. They are not going to be redeeming any shares. They're going to be repurchasing shares, and for that they need that approval. So yeah, pretty important footnote there, and I think that makes it even harder for them to be able to get that relief from the ECC, but that's just my opinion. Let's move on. Number two, they also need, it says, furthermore, because of GBTC trust agreement does not currently permit redemptions or repurchase of shares by GBTC ability to conduct such a tender offer will also be subject to receipt of shareholder approval by an amendment of GBTC trust agreement. So again, two big caveats here for them to even be able to execute the tender offer on GBTC. So going back to the interview with which I started the video, let's hear to what the CEO has to say, because I think that there are two main questions in this interview, and the answers are very interesting by the CEO. So let's see if I can find exactly where the first question is, because I wanted to highlight this here.
Hypotheticals here. Is this an acknowledgement that you might not win the suit and the spot Bitcoin ETF maybe will never be?
It is not an acknowledgement of that at all. We are steadfast in our belief, particularly in the wake of FTX, in the wake of all recent events in crypto. Now more than ever, investors deserve the protections and familiarities of a Bitcoin ETF. I certainly think that when you look at an asset, investment vehicle like GBTC, that is the largest in the world, it has, almost 1 million Americans that own GBTC. Why the SEC, why our regulators wouldn't take the opportunity to bring it closer into the regulatory perimeter seems like a really missed opportunity on their part, particularly in light of recent events.
Right.
Okay, so that's the first key question. She's basically saying, or Julie here, the interviewer, is basically saying, is this a way for you to acknowledge, or are you acknowledging by doing this tender offer that you're basically not going to get the ETF trust? And he's saying that no, it's not an acknowledgement of that. But to me, if we go back to the portion of the letter, they're clearly saying that this is an auction. We explore other auctions to return a portion of GBTC capital shareholders. So the way this letter reads, this is an alternative for them to be able to provide some benefits to shareholders. Because it looks like at the end of the day, the lawsuit might not go through, and they may not get the ETF approved. So with that, let's go back to the interview, because I really like the way Julie is pressing with questions, and I think that she asked another important question here.
And be that as it may, it still might not happen if they don't agree. The other thing that potentially couldn't happen is, even for a tender offer, whatever the structure it might take, you need SEC approval for that too. So as you're making contingency plans, what's the contingency plan if the SEC doesn't approve a tender offer? Do you have another way to, give cash back to people who are holding the trust?
Ultimately, an ETF, a spot Bitcoin ETF here in the US, is a matter of when, not a matter of if. And so if there is no legal clarity, if there is no regulatory clarity, we will continue to pursue, the spot Bitcoin ETF, and eventually.
Okay, so I'll definitely link this interview to in the description below. But here is the second question that I wanted to go over with you, because I like the way she's pressing on it. That, well, basically what's going to happen if this plan B doesn't even go through, because they still need the SEC approval. And to me, he did not answer that question. He basically just said that, an ETF approval is the best thing for investor. And I completely agree, but he's not answering what may or may not happen, or what they can do or cannot do if the tender offer doesn't get approved. So there you go. I just wanted to offer this information, putting it out there. A lot of people in Twitter are seeing that they are basically considering, well, what's going to happen if the tender offer goes through, because they need to basically sell a bunch of BTC, and the BTC price will definitely drop. But we are not we're not seeing what the writing on the wall is, that they actually need to get this approved in order to execute it. So if that doesn't happen, it's going to be a very, very dark situation for GBTC. Big news for today regarding Grayscale. I hope these were better news for investors out there. But if you are planning on getting into GBTC and getting into this investment, it might not be a really good time for you to get in right now. Not investment advice, but things are not looking good for GBTC. With that, thank you so much for watching. I will link all of this information. I will put a link of all of this information in the description below. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for supporting the channel, and I will see you in the next video.